Hello, everyone. My name is Chris Banks with Pyramid Analytics, and it is a pleasure to be with you today for our data insights in 15 minutes. And today's topic is around balancing data access with data governance. And this is something that is near and dear to my heart. Raise your hand if you have had a data breach within your credit cards or working with some type of retailer. I've got my hand up. Put your hand down. I can't see you anyway. But happens to everybody. And certainly from a retail situation, I know it's happened to me plenty of times. And with organizations, data breaches can have an enormous cost to them. It's one thing being involved with the retailer and having them with your credit card information, but it's another thing when it's an insurance carrier. It's another thing when it's a manufacturer that has your information. And all of a sudden, now that broader stroke can have a bigger impact in your life. And then, if you think about it, what's the likelihood of you going back to that retailer or to that restaurant, or maybe even working with that insurance company or whatever company or organization that you were working with that had the data breach? It drives me crazy when I get something in the mail and it says, "Hey, we want to inform you that we had a data breach." So, why does that happen? Well, the challenge, especially when it comes around to analytics, is that too often many business professionals are downloading data to their desktop, especially with COVID, when COVID hit, right? Everybody's working from home, and it's so easy to grab some data, bring it down to your desktop, and then start performing your analysis against that. Well, why are people downloading the data? Challenge is the tools that they're using. The tools require that download of data. And that's a problem. Even something as simple as Excel requires you to extract data, put it down on your desktop, and perform that. Well, now that you've got the data on your desktop, here comes the security breach. Maybe I'm in Phoenix, Arizona, staying at a hotel, and I'm there on business, and I connect to the Wi Fi. Don't be surprised if that isn't very secure. And that's how people break in. And now all of a sudden they're grabbing your company's data and have an awful lot of insight about things about your customers, or maybe even financial information about your organization. Well, imagine if you were a business user and you had all of the capabilities that you could ever want, maybe even more so, all from a browser. However, the data doesn't need to be downloaded. The data can reside where it is, and there's no concern about having a data breach. Well, in the next 15 minutes, my colleague, and I'm even going to say my good friend, Kevin Kratzer, who I've had the pleasure of working with for a number of years, he's going to show you a demonstration as a financial analyst inside a financial organization that's going to explore governed data without the need to download it. He's going to use capabilities such as adding columns, deleting columns, drilling in into any aspect of the data where you want to go without the complexity of having to do anything upfront in creating a cube or anything to do with the data, where it resides, or even blending disparate data sources together. And then lastly, asking new questions with something as simple as a chatbot. And Kevin's going to enlighten us with all of that. Next slide, Kevin. If you're not aware of who Pyramid Analytics is, what makes us a little different in the marketplace is that we have a platform, not a tool, but a platform that can leverage any data inside your organization. That data can be on-prem, it could be in the cloud, it could be a hybrid of the two. Doesn't matter. We can get at any data that you need us to get to, but also empower any user inside your organization, from the C-suite to an analyst to a data scientist, even to a frontline worker, somebody that might not be very technical but is looking for insight to be more productive and a better decision maker. And we do that with our platform that we built from the ground up that combines the best of data prep, business analytics, and data science all within one platform. And then as a user of that, all I need is a browser on any device to get the insight that I'm looking for. So that being said, I am going to throw this football over to Kevin Kratzer. Kevin, take it away and show us some insight.
All right, thanks, Chris. And good morning, everyone. Uh, like Chris said, data breaches happen, and it's a matter of how we handle what we've done uh, with the desktops that really allow us to understand what data has been breached. And in today's world, it really is harder than ever. Okay, like Chris said, with COVID and downloading of data. Now, I'm just going to use a generic dashboard here to kind of illustrate what has happened. Okay, analysts today and in your financial world, they're building dashboards around credit card usage, loan approval ratings, and this becomes instrumental. But as much as our analysts build dashboards that have a lot of information around them, users still just want to come in and they want to essentially go in and get the data behind the scenes. Okay. And why is that? Well, essentially, the reason why is because when traditional dashboards are being built, they're being built with specific questions in mind. Okay. And it really what users need is a way to ask it questions that go beyond the dashboard. Hey, you've given me the answer I'm looking for, but I have this next question. I'm going into a meeting. I don't know what the questions are that are going to be asked. I just need to make sure I have the data. And that's what we're doing. We're providing them a way in which they can go in here and they can access the raw data behind the scenes. And then using some kind of mechanism, depending on what you're using, print that out or export it out to Excel. Now, what this has led to is is our analysts being able to create reports or data dumps for users. Okay, a way in which to provide them the ability to go in and do just that, to be able to go in and say, okay, this is the data set I want. I can go ahead and analyze it in Excel. Uh, but as an analyst, I don't want to give you access to everything. There are rogue queries out there. So I'm going to allow you to go through and filter it. But what are we doing here? We're still allowing people to go in and using some kind of mechanism, export this out to Excel. And what happens is once they've exported that out to Excel, they now have that data on their machine. And yes, they can do anything that they need to do. They can go in and remove fields. They can go in and create trending visualizations and aggregate the data to gain more insights. But the data has been removed and it is now siloed data and it is now outdated data that is now at risk of data exposure. So, how do we allow users to go in and analyze data the way they need to analyze it, but protect the data at the same time? Okay. And that's where pyramid analytics is different. Okay. We want the end user to be able to do as much as they possibly can. We want you to be able to answer questions that analysts didn't think of. And to note, that's what I want to show you today. So if we look at this grid report, we're showing regions, we're showing, sales information, cost information, and we're looking at that over years and looking at year over year growth. But we're only looking at one dimension. Most of the time, users are going to want to go through and download the data behind this so that they can go in and get additional information. But instead, what I want to do is I want to allow the users to do more. And the way that they can do that is by utilizing a couple of key capabilities within our platform. The first that I want to address is add dice swap. Now, what is this? What this allows a user to do is swap out fields, add new fields, and drill down to any level they need to drill down to, not just within a single hierarchy. Right? So let's take a look at how what we can do here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by let's add a field. And when I come in here, one of the things that's important is this is possible. We're able to create a unique user experience that allows us because where our platform has a virtual semantic layer. Now, why do I bring that up when I talk about governance and data access and security of it? Because that semantic layer allows for ease of use from a business user standpoint. But what it also does is it allows us to produce or provide these capabilities. So users don't need to go in and get a tool. They can just say, okay, I want to add in this case, I want to add in my item division. Very quick, very simple to go in and do that. And you could continue this out so you can go through and want to add in my item status. Now, going in here, you're able to go through and start getting a lot of information. You'll see how I added some fields in here. But I want to actually scroll down, and instead of looking at all the regions, I really just want to look at the Western US. So I'm going to use that dice capability. And what I want to do here is I actually want to go through. In this case, I'm going to drill down to store, okay, for just the West. You'll notice that up here in the breadcrumb trail, it puts what we filtered on, but it's changed that field over to store. Think about what we're doing here, and think about what you're able to do for your users within your organization. You're able to go in and you're able to allow them to pick and choose what reports or sorry, what columns they have in a report. So we filter down to the West. Well, you know what? There's that one other capability that I want to highlight, which is swap. And instead of division here, what I'd like to do is I'd like to swap that out in here for item category. Okay. And you'll notice that it swapped that field out. Now, users can go at this point to as low of a level as you allow them to go from a security standpoint when it comes to field access. I can go through from here and I can add in all the way down to the item level. Okay. And what we'll see here is that we're able to go through as a user and get the information that we need. Okay. So really providing that capability. Now, going in here, you'll notice that my mouse is moving around. Essentially, what I'm trying to do is lasso items so that I can kind of copy this data out of here. Okay, and when I bring this menu up, one of the things you'll notice is there's no copy, no export to Excel. There's no way for you to copy this data out of this browser without simply just taking a picture of it. Governing the experience all the way down to the end user level so that users no longer need to download the data to get this kind of interactivity is what's important. Now, let's take this one step further and let's go in and say, the add dice swap is great, but I want to provide more and allow them to do more. And that's where, from an end user capability, you can start to use the chatbot. And what the chatbot is, it's a way for your users to interact with the data. Now, I want to go through and just say, out of all of this data, it's great, but I just want you to show top 5 items by, let's choose something that's not in the report right now. And let's go through and choose, gross sales units. Okay. And when the system is going to go through and it's going to churn that, and it's going to bring back the report. Now, you're not limited to here. I can go through and say show bar. Users would typically need a tool in order to do all of this capability, or you'd need to pick up the phone. Or in this case of what we're talking about, you're going to need to extract the data in order to do this. I've been able to do it all from a web browser. Now, if you want to take this even one step further and allow your users to go in and use a lightweight authoring tool, you can do that. Okay, you can allow them to go in and choose visualizations. You can choose what columns go in and out of the report. But the one thing you will not see in here is an export data, because what I've chosen for this user is to not allow that capability to be exposed. Okay, now how is all of this possible? And one of the key things to keep in mind is that our entire platform is 100% web based. All right. And I want to dive in just a little bit to give you an idea of the depth of governance you will have over your decision intelligence platform. And so the first that we've just seen it. It's being able to govern that experience, whether or not we want them to be able to download the data or whether we want them to be able to interact in that self-service method with the add dice swap chatbot, or even the lightweight authoring tool. But how much further can you go? Well, since we are completely web-based, you'll see here I'm on the main screen, and you'll see that I have data components, I have visualization components, I have a lot here that I can have access to. But one of the things you have the ability to do is start governing who has access to what capabilities. Okay. And from this, from the standpoint, I'm going to leave the analyst view here. I'm going to go over to the administration side. And I want to show from this standpoint that you're able to go in and stipulate who has access to what capabilities. If someone is, if an analyst is building visualizations, building dashboards, standard formulations, give them access to those components, but take data away. If they don't need to go and create new data connections, take that capability away. Don't confuse them. You can govern the capabilities of the platform to the user community that you're delivering them to. The next area that I want to focus on is the data side. Okay. The other reason we go through and we filter things out for the users is so that, again, when they access large amounts of data, they're not accessing everything. They're putting some criteria around it. Well, this is where our governance capability from the data really comes into play. So going in here, I can go in and we'll go into here. And remember where I mentioned earlier, we have that semantic layer. A virtual semantic layer plays a key role when it comes to governing access to data because every single report, every single visualization runs through that layer. And so we have the ability to go in and we have the ability to say, you know what, this user, this user has access to, whoops, I forgot to add that user. This user or this role has access to these fields or even down to the data value level of the data. Okay. So really giving you the ability to govern data access, platform capabilities, and even out to that end user experience, making it so that you really have the capabilities to balance your data access all the way to that end user experience so that they can get the information they need and they can answer the questions that they need to answer in the meetings that they attend without downloading the data and exposing your organization to unneeded risk from data from data breach. And with that, I'd like to open it up for any questions.
Oh, ho, ho. You have lit up the call center. Look at all these questions coming in. All right, you ready? Buckle up.
Absolutely.
Here's a question for you, Kevin. What if we don't want to restrict users that much? Is there an in between?
Absolutely. And that's the beauty of the platform. What we're showing you today is how you can lock things down. But you can get as granular or as wide as you want to with the platform. You can just apply data security. You can apply data security at different levels and provide it to different levels of access to different users within the organization. You can provide ways in which you can download data or download answer sets, let's put it that way, to users, but not download the data. So there's a lot of ways in which you can do that. You're not fixed to just what I showed you here.
Excellent. Here's another one. You better be ready for this. My users are not technical enough to use that chatbot. Is that required?
Uh, that's a very good point. I'm glad you asked that, and I get this a lot. It's surprising, but understandable. We always say, you never want to provide your users more than what they can handle in order to drive user adoption. And this is one area in which, people see that it might be a little bit advanced. That's why with our platform, you have the ability to turn things on and off. And the chatbot's one of those. If you don't think your users are ready for it yet, turn it off until you feel that they are. Take them on that journey from where you're right now to where you want them to be by opening up different capabilities along that journey. So absolutely, you can turn it off until you need it in the future.
Here's one for you. It just came in, which is kind of interesting. And it is, what is the main advantage over the Pyramid Decision Intelligence platform over some of the tool vendors that are out there today?
Well, I'll address this in two ways. One, let's talk about the topic that we're talking about today. Okay, data access. Tools today still require you to extract data from other systems and bring it together either in their tool or in another location before you can provide analytics. Our platform is designed so that we don't move the data unless absolutely necessary. We're not just talking about to the desktop, but we're talking about to other databases, other data sources. All right. If we don't need to move the data, we don't. And we can still provide you that interactive, seamless experience for your end users, even if the visualizations are coming from multiple data sources. And the second is the ability to govern all aspects of that experience. Okay. Again, being completely web-based, we had to make sure that we're not just giving a tool to someone. They're coming in, they have access to everything. So your organization, we need to make sure that we make that users only have access to what they need, so they're not getting overwhelmed with capabilities.
Can I add a third one to that?
Absolutely.
Some of the challenges with some of the tools that are out there, they require an in-memory database. They're proprietary in-memory database, especially as Kevin mentioned, if you're bringing in different data sources, it's all got to be brought into their in-memory database. There's limitations to how much data or data, as depending on how you say it can handle. And we have seen case study after case study who are now our customers that hit a wall and they couldn't consume even as low a number as 20 million records, right? We live in a data lake world these days. 20 million records is not a lot of information. And they were hitting a wall with some of the vendors that are out there today. And that's one of the great things that we provide with our platform is the scaling and the performance that's unparalleled out in the industry today. So that's what I have to say about that. Here's another one for you, Kevin. How long does it take you to get the data ready for the level of self-service that you were just showing?
Well, and that's that I think is the beauty of the virtual semantic layer. That virtual semantic layer separates analytics from the data itself. So I don't have to prepare the data at all. And that's the point. You don't know what questions your users are going to ask past your dashboard. How can you prepare a data set if you don't know what questions are going to be asked? Our virtual semantic layer allows you to build analytics on top of the semantic layer is so that your users can then ask questions without requiring the data to be structured ahead of time.
Excellent, excellent. Here's a good one. We have a lot of users, and can the setup for what we just saw be automated?
Absolutely. And so one of the things you'll find, you saw three different views for me. You saw the end user view, you saw the analyst view, and that last view where we went in to see the access controls, that's the administration view. And our platform has an open API to all administrative tasks. So you can start to automate the creation and gestion of users, roles, and permissions throughout the platform.
Excellent, excellent. And the last question for you that's come in, I don't see any others here, is in this example that you demoed, you showed grid reports. Are there other self-service visualization capabilities within your platform as well?
Oh, and that's the beauty of our platform. Add dice swap is the universal capability. So whether you're talking about a grid report or a visualization, a pie chart, a bar chart, those capabilities work on all aspects of delivery of information. So whether you're, like I said, whether you're going from a visualization to a grid, it doesn't matter. You'll have the same self-service capabilities.
Outstanding, sir. Hey, can you hit the next slide, Kevin?
I can.
So we want to thank all of you for listening in today. We appreciate your time. We want to have a next step for you, and you can choose your own adventure if you'd like to request a demonstration. The link is there that you see on the screen. Or if you'd like to download 3 analyst reports for free, the link is there as well. We have been ranked #1 by Gartner for visual self-service analytics in their critical capabilities report. We have been ranked #1 in the Bark BI Survey 22, which came out late last year. And we've been ranked #1 in Dresner's Wisdom of Crowds report. So there's a lot of great nuggets if you want to learn more about pyramid analytics and what's next in analytics. Say goodbye to BI and say hello to decision intelligence with the power of our platform. Feel free to take us up on either one of those or visit our website at www.pyramidanalytics.com for more information. Thank you for your time. Thank you, Kevin. You're a rock star, and I'm looking forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you, everyone.